Now that Donald Trump has made a number of massive mistakes in responding to coronavirus, it's important to hear from his political opponents, namely the person who's going to be running against him during the general election, Joe Biden. So Joe Biden recently had an interview on CNN speaking to Anderson Cooper and Sanjay Gupta. Let's hear what he had to say about Trump's handling of this pandemic.
Sound testing. It's about testing, tracing, and treatment, and still we're way behind on the testing piece. And I don't quite understand why we're taking so long to do the kinds of things that have to be done. There's during World War II, where Roosevelt came up with a thing that was totally different than he called it the World War II. He had the War Production Board. Well, I don't know why we don't set up something like a pandemic production board, where we open up things that oversee surging production to test kits and lab supplies, coordinating the distribution to states, identifying and testing sites, and sufficient trade personnel to staff these things.
Let me just note, Biden did release what the plan should be in responding to COVID-19. And obviously, it's much better than anything that Trump's done. But clearly, just from watching that video, Biden continues to struggle in communicating, a message that really resonates with voters.
So there's two parts to that. There's the plan itself and what it indicates. And then there's Biden's performance, for lack of a better word. So in terms of the plan, I think that Trump's three-tiered plan from yesterday is fine. I think his liberation plan from today is a disaster and shows you exactly what's wrong with Trump and why you couldn't ever not vote, in my opinion, for the credible candidate against Trump. Your choice is anyone versus the fascist madman who's running around telling people, liberate Michigan, liberate Minnesota, and bring your guns in Virginia. So, and references the Second Amendment. So that's a no-brainer. But I think his three-tier strategy was fine. We talked about it on the show yesterday. Biden is adding on top of that, for God's sake, we got to do testing. And the president is responsible for making sure that we have a good testing system, which is absolutely critical throughout the country. So,
Cenk, I got to jump in, sorry, because the one thing, there are a few things, but one of the things that really does differentiate Biden from Trump is that Trump, even with his new plan to slowly reopen the country, does not want to be held responsible for testing. He thinks that the individual states should be held responsible. They need to deal with it on their own, whereas Biden offers a more, central solution, having the federal government step in and do what it's actually supposed to do. Go ahead.
100%. And I think Biden's plan is definitely better. So what does that indicate then? Well, it indicates that Biden has a better team. So these are not individuals. Although with Trump, he almost is his own team because he doesn't take anyone's counsel and he's too stupid to ever listen to anyone who's smarter than him, which is just about anybody. Whereas Biden does take counsel. He does have a team around him, and they do come up with good, smart, efficient plans. Now, in a normal world, I have issues with some of their plans. I think they're too pro-corporate. I can go on and on. But in this context, you want someone you want a team that's smart, efficient, and manages the crisis well. And clearly Biden is way better than Trump on that. Then you get to the performance part. And look, we're all on pins and needles every time Biden talks. And you know it too. I don't care if you're the biggest Biden supporter. You hold your breath like, is he going to be okay? Oh, that's a big, long 10, 15-second stumble in the middle of that answer.
Yeah.
Oh, he made it out. Okay. All right. He salvaged it at the end. And, I guess it's okay by the time you look at it in its totality. But we all feel like Dr. Sanjay Gupta in that segment, where we're all looking like this.
It's painful to watch. And I get it. People get offended when you state the obvious, like this isn't an isolated incident. I mean, how many examples do you need from the last month that show that he really does struggle in communicating? He forgets things. He clearly had notes on his lap that he had to keep looking down on. And that worries me, right? For all the Democratic voters, I'm not even talking about, the politicians and the so-called establishment. I'm talking about the voters who are gaslighting people on social media and pretending as though these issues don't exist. They exist, and that it's going to be a problem when Biden's going to be up against Trump on a debate stage. And, we'll see if that even eventually happens. I hope it does under safe, circumstances. But it's a problem that needs to be addressed, talked about, and this gaslighting is what's driving me insane, because we all see it with our own two eyes. We hear it with our two ears. And Jason Johnson's an example. He went on Twitter and was like, I'm going to unfollow anyone who claims that Joe Biden is experiencing cognitive decline. Okay, see you later. Don't care. But really, you're going to pretend like this doesn't exist? It exists. It's a problem.
Look, they are going to pretend that, but our job is to be honest. So now, does that mean that you should vote against Biden and in favor of Trump? No, Trump's also in mental decline, and his decline started at a much lower point. So at least Biden at some point was an intelligent human being, and is still arguably intelligent, but is in some degree of decline. Whereas Trump was a mess to start with and then started declining. And Trump has fascist, not just tendencies, but he has begun to do the fascism and called for violence in essence in the streets with this liberate talk and 1,000 other things that he's done. Calling for people, right-wingers, to exercise their Second Amendment rights in Virginia. It's not like we didn't already have a massive right-wing protest in Virginia that turned violent, i.e. Charlottesville. So between a guy who's got cognitive decline and another guy who's got cognitive decline and is a fascist and does not believe in our form of government, that's a no-brainer. And so you say,
democracy.
Are you going to vote for the guy in mental decline? Yeah, easily, because they're both in mental decline and the other guy's way worse. So, but that's the choices we have thanks to the establishment. And every 4 years, we fight like hell in the primaries, and honestly, we lost. We lost both times. And so we get stuck with what the establishment wants, which is a guy we're all crossing our fingers can cross the finish line.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.